It started on a day like any other. I was out feeding the chickens, bucket in hand, the sun just high enough to warm the gravel under my boots. My ranch isn't fancy. Cattle, a barn, a tractor that's seen better days, but it's mine, paid for with sweat and stubbornness. Then I heard it, the crunch of tires on my driveway. Not the usual pickup rumble, but something smoother, shinier. I turn around, and there she was, stepping out of a silver Lexus like she was auditioning for a real estate reality show. This woman, heels clicking like she was on a runway, held up a glossy piece of paper and announced, "I'm here to inspect my new property. Please move your tractor." I froze, mid-scoop, thinking this had to be a prank. She pointed at my house, my barn, my cattle, and said, "Yes, this entire ranch. I bought it on Facebook Marketplace last night." I blinked at her, still holding that chicken feed, wondering if I should laugh or call the sheriff. She strutted past me, all confidence, like she'd done this before and gotten away with it. I've dealt with coyotes, flash floods, even a bull that smashed through my living room wall once, but this was new. She introduced herself as Karen. Shocker, right? And claimed she'd acquired the property through alternative legal channels. Something about a quiet lien transfer. When I asked for proof, she handed me a PDF that looked like it was ripped from Pinterest tax advice board. Typos everywhere. My name is spelled. The ranch's acreage listed as 40 Laban. Laban? I don't even know what that means. Still, she stood there, plastic folder under her arm, sunglasses too big for her face, radiating an energy that said she'd sue the wind if it blew the wrong way. She told me to move my tractor because a survey team was coming that afternoon. I said no. She pouted like a toddler, then did the most Karen thing imaginable. Parked her Lexus diagonally across my tractor path and the entrance gate, locked it, and walked off humming like she'd just won the lottery. I stared at that car, an insult to common sense sitting right there on my gravel. I called the sheriff. While I waited, I fed the animals, glancing back every few minutes to make sure she hadn't started redecorating my barn with throw pillows. 20 minutes later, she reappeared, sipping an iced latte and snapping selfies in front of my barn like it was a rustic Airbnb. "I'll be putting this up for short-term rentals," she said, not even looking at me. "Just need to get the livestock smell out of the guest suite." "Ma'am," I said, keeping the ma'am as polite as I could muster. "That's a feed shed, not a guest suite." She gasped, stepping back like I'd slapped her. Wow, that attitude is exactly why I'm reorganizing this community. The previous owner clearly didn't understand property potential. "I'm the previous owner," I shot back. She smirked. "Then you'll be hearing from my legal advisor." That's when Sheriff Walker rolled up, gravel crunching under his cruiser tires. He stepped out, one hand on his belt, the other already rubbing his forehead like he knew this was going to be a headache. "Afternoon, ma'am," he said. "Can you explain what you're doing on Mr. Lawson's property?" Karen whipped out her plastic folder and launched into a rant about real estate fraud, government corruption, and how she'd studied law on YouTube. The sheriff just stared, waiting for something sane. It never came. He flipped through her paperwork and handed it back. "This isn't a deed," he said. "This is a screenshot from Zillow with crayon on it." She gasped again, clutching her chest like he'd insulted her grandma. "Excuse me, I demand to speak to a higher authority." "I am the higher authority," he deadpanned. She stomped back to her Lexus, slammed the door, and declared, "I'm not moving. This is now a civil matter." "No," he said, "it's a trespassing matter. I can have you removed and your vehicle towed." She folded her arms. "Then I'll sue for harassment, emotional damage, and land theft." "Ma'am, that's not a real thing," he replied. "It will be when my lawyer hears about this," she snapped. I half expected a film crew to pop out and yell, "Gotcha!" But no, this was real. Sheriff Walker gave me a look, part sympathy, part brace yourself, and radioed for a tow truck. Karen climbed onto her Lexus's hood, cross-legged, and started live streaming. "I'm Karen, land acquisition warrior," she announced, narrating her battle against rural injustice. She even claimed I was running an illegal ranching operation disguised as a family farm. The tow truck took an hour, so I went back to fixing the chicken fence she'd knocked over, muttering to myself. This wasn't just a random nutcase. This was the start of something bigger and dumber. The tow truck finally hauled her Lexus away, and I thought that might be the end of it. Nope. That night, after the sheriff left, I saw her again, standing in my property line with a flashlight and 3 people behind her. One had a tape measure, another carried a folding table, and Karen held a sign that read, "Future site of Riverland Acres HOA Welcome Center." My gut sank. She wasn't leaving. She was digging in. The next morning, I woke up to hammering. Not a neighbor's fence repair or a road crew, just distant, insistent bangs. I stepped outside with my coffee and saw her at the edge of my pasture, near the main road. She'd set up a white folding table, a beach umbrella, 2 lawn chairs, and a bin full of clipboards. Behind her, a homemade sign, "Welcome to Riverland Acres HOA, building a better community one ranch at a time." I nearly dropped my mug. Karen, in a sun hat and a sash like she was running for mayor, waved at passing drivers and tried handing them brochures. It was like a bake sale crossed with a cult recruitment booth. I caught snippets as I walked over Revitalization Initiative Code Compliance Team. My neighbor Greg slowed his truck, took a flyer, crumpled it, and tossed it out the window laughing. I reached her setup, already exhausted. "Karen," I said, "what the hell is this now?" She smiled like we were buddies. "Good morning. You're just in time for our community information session. I'm onboarding early residents into our HOA program." I glanced at the brochures, stock photos of suburban cul-de-sacs. No cows or tumbleweeds in sight. The fine print was gibberish, including a line about mandatory participation in the Riverland District Zone. "Karen," I said slowly, "this isn't a district. This is rural land. No one agreed to your fake HOA." She gave me that tight-lipped smile people use when they're pretending to be patient. "We're in the pilot stage. Early adoption's rough, but once I finalize the land rights, we'll move into enforcement." Enforcement. That word stuck like a burr. She said it like she was the IRS. I told her she had no right to set up anything on my land. She pulled out a new paper from her bin, covered in clip art seals and stamps, pointing to property conversion pending. "I submitted a notice to the county clerk," she said, smug. "We're converting this region into a managed community zone. It's called hostile homesteading, perfectly legal in 3 states. "We're not in those states," I said. She shrugged. "Details." It was like arguing with a magic 8-ball. Nonsense answers every time. Then she introduced her lawyer, Chad. No last name, no business card, just a guy in a too-tight suit with an empty briefcase. I asked if he was licensed. "Working on a certificate," he mumbled. Karen beamed. "Chad specializes in aggressive real estate transformation. Very progressive." Chad gave me finger guns and said, "We're invoking a frontier clause." He leaned in, whispering, "Don't ask what that is. It's complicated." I stared, stunned by their sheer confidence in absolute nothing. Karen clapped. "We'll hold a planning session at 3 p.m. Bring refreshments, and your deed, if you still have it." I walked away, already dialing the sheriff again. But the damage started piling up. That afternoon, someone slashed 3 hay bales in my lower field. My mailbox was smashed to bits. Worst of all, 5 chickens were gone. Coop tampered with, latch undone, fence pushed in. I searched, but they'd vanished. I didn't want to pin it on Karen, but the timing? Too perfect. I showed the sheriff photos. He sighed. "No footage, no proof. Can't do much." I nodded. "Trail cams arrive tomorrow." Before sunrise, I turned my ranch into a wildlife documentary set. Cameras on fence posts, under barn eaves, even strapped to a tree by the driveway. If Karen sneezed near my property, I'd know. I didn't wait long. That night, a motion alert pinged at 10 p.m. There she was on the footage, dressed in black like a wannabe spy, crawling under my barbed wire with 2 lackeys, one with tape, the other with a toolbox. They headed for the barn, bold as brass, and walked right in. The feed cam caught it all. Karen measured stalls, talking about maximum occupancy per structure. One guy snapped photos. The other marked the floor with orange chalk. They weren't just trespassing, they were planning to turn my barn into a housing unit. My blood boiled. I downloaded the footage, backed it up 3 times, and dropped it off with the sheriff at dawn. He watched it and nodded. Criminal trespass, maybe attempted conversion. D-Ace next. But Karen? She didn't look worried. That afternoon, passing her welcome center, she waved like we were neighbors sharing pie. She held up a flyer, an open house on my land that weekend, drone tours, lemonade, live entertainment. She wasn't backing down. She was doubling down. Saturday hit like a storm. I stepped outside, coffee in hand, and saw my gravel road lined with signs, scenic driveway entry, balloons on my fence posts, a banner over the gate, Riverland Acres open house and future development tour, a lemonade stand with kids in yellow polos, a woman handing out flyers, and at least 10 strangers wandering my land, gawking at the barn and windmill like it was a theme park. Karen, in a floral dress and straw hat, looked like a real estate agent crossed with a cult leader. She told a group near the chicken coop, "This'll be our communal artisan garden. Free-range eggs, fresh herbs, very bohemian ranch core." I stormed down the hill, boots crunching. She intercepted me, chirping, "Oh, hello." Mine staying off to the side. Drone footage in 5. A drone buzzed overhead, filming my pasture like it was a blockbuster. "That's my land," I said. "You don't have permission." She smiled. "According to Homestead Promotion Guidelines, Section 4, you're in a transitional zone. We can conduct pre-development walkthroughs." "There's no transitional zone," I snapped. "This isn't a subdivision. It's a working ranch. You're trespassing." She raised a hand. "Let's not get caught up in legal drama. This is about community harmony." I turned to the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen, you're trespassing. This is private property. This event is illegal." Some backed off, but Karen laughed. "Don't mind him, he's adjusting." Then Greg, my neighbor, rolled up on his ATV. "You see the padlock on your gate?" My heart sank. I sprinted to the upper pasture gate, my truck access, and found a shiny new padlock, not mine. She'd locked me out. I grabbed bolt cutters from the barn, cut it off, and resecured it with my own lock while Karen yelled about co-usage clauses. I ignored her, went inside, and called my cousin's wife, Annette, a real attorney. Annette reviewed everything: flyers, fake deeds, livestream screenshots. "Tax lien scam," she said. "Illegal but audacious." My deed was airtight, so she drafted a cease and desist and prepped a public nuisance claim. Progress, finally. But that night, a trail cam buzzed. 10:37 p.m. Karen was back in the barn, pinning up a poster. Riverland Ranch Co-op, Phase 1, residential units coming soon. She wasn't stealing anymore. She was moving in. Next morning, I found a welcome mat. Live, laugh, love at the loft stairs, a sunflower air freshener, a camping cot, and a motivational poster. My barn smelled like vanilla and desperation. She'd nested. I called the sheriff. "She's squatting," I said. He sighed. "Courts are backlogged. Need a judge to evict unless she's violent." So I got creative. I posted a fake rental ad online, glamping agricultural retreat, using Karen's buzzwords. She applied, photo and all. I accepted her, forwarded it to Annette, who added fraud to the list. Then I called Colt, my manure guy. He dumped a steaming pile where Karen parked her new beige Subaru, plates, GR8 lady. She stepped right in it, screamed about biohazards, and slipped. I uploaded it to Reddit. HOA Karen gets mood on, and it blew up. She saw it, showed up in a mask and gloves, and called me a domestic terrorist. I told her I'd clean it up when she left. She refused the cease and desist, claiming pioneers' rights after 72 hours. Sheriff gave her 48 hours to vacate. The second night, smoke woke me. I ran to the barn. Cardboard burned near the wall, Karen holding lighter fluid. "Controlled burn for warmth," she lied. Footage caught it. She was arrested, calm as ever, saying this isn't over. It wasn't. Lawsuits followed. Hers, full of fake terms. Ours, with damages and a restraining order. The judge dismissed her in 15 minutes, granted us everything. A week later, she sat 501 feet off my land with a megaphone, ranting about land justice. Sheriff warned her off. She vanished. I rebuilt the barn, painted "No Karens Allowed," and threw a barbecue. Peace returned, mostly. A letter came, "I'll be back with lawyers. I'm ready. My ranch is mine, and I'll fight for every inch."